The Boys Season 4 finale is finally upon us, and it is crazy, insane even. It's like, right when I think I know something, the show just finds new ways to surprise me. Like, I put out a theory Wednesday and it was the worst thing I could have done. Like, it's already wrong. So let's break down every important event that happened and discuss the potential outcomes from those events and the characters involved for the final season, since we literally have like 2 years before season 5. So at the very beginning, we see that Vought canceled A-Train's official movie since he went AWOL, which makes sense. And funny enough, it also might be referencing Warner Brothers when they canceled their upcoming Batgirl movie for a tax write-off, even though it was already complete.
Though it's completely finished.
We just realized we'd make more from the write-off.
And by the way, he's gonna come back in season 5. And when he does it, he will be a full-fledged hero, because you don't think Homelander being the president of the United States isn't going to affect him? Of course it is. Like, we don't even know where he is right now. He could be out of America, but he could also not be. And since he's been in his hero bag since season 3, he'll be back as a hero to protect his family from the Supes. And then he'll probably die. Huey gets married to the shapeshifter while also becoming more aware of how off she is, which is wild. But her being captured made Starlight gain more confidence in herself and have more of a purpose, which is how she regained her powers. Which makes sense, she lost her powers because she was going through like this existential crisis stuff, like Spider-Man in Spider-Man 2. You know, remember when he lost his? It's pretty much just like that. So in season 5, Huey and Starlight will stay fiancés because of that amazing save by Huey. I don't know how wow. He said the right words. And they might somehow get married in the midst of everything going on. I also think that this newfound confidence in herself, her hopefully learning from her past mistakes, and with Huey being captured, is what's gonna drive her to form some kind of resistance against Homelander, whether it's secret or public. Especially since Homelander says that they're gonna capture all the Starlighters, so this resistance would consist of the Starlighters and Supes who helped them in the past, like Queen Maeve, A-Train, and maybe even the good Gen V kids. And using all of them, she's gonna help free the boys. So I'm pretty sure that's what's gonna happen with them two in season 5. The Shapeshifter is definitely a callback to Mystique and the whole Marvel storyline where the Brotherhood of Mutants were trying to assassinate Senator Robert Kelly, someone who wants to kill all the mutants, a lot like how Robert Singer wants to do to all the Supes. Well, he doesn't want to kill them, he wants to regulate them or suppress them. There's a lot of parallels between these stories, and that was for a reason. Next is Firecracker's show Truth Bomb featuring Homelander and Newman, where he outs Newman on live television because he was just on demon time after his confrontation with Ryan, which leads to her death in the tentacles of Butcher later on. First, let's talk about Newman. If she would have popped his head on live TV, she eventually would have been linked to all the other head pops that happened and effectively would have been incarcerated or executed, making her daughter wind up in the same place she was at, which Newman did not want. So she played it safe and listened to Homelander. Later on though, after being spooked by his threats towards her and her child, which was really interesting to see because we rarely see her scared, she then calls up Huey to get help from the boys to get rid of him until Butcher comes along. So even though she's a bad person, she did all these bad things so her daughter wouldn't have had the same kind of life she had. So that makes Zoe's ending all the more heartbreaking because Newman did everything she could to protect Zoe from that life, and she still winded up there. And then she died. And the thing is, in season 5, Zoe could be used as a pawn against the boys, or at least Butcher, since he killed her mom. Either that, or maybe Stan Edgar would take care of her, or we just don't ever see her again. So you had 2 characters with tragic endings. It's crazy. Another tragic character is Firecracker, because she's dying. Those milky meds are doing no good, but she continues to be by his side. A very toxic, one-sided relationship that will continue in season 5. So the most likely possibility in season 5 is that she's a devoted Homelanderist until she dies from her heart or is killed in battle. Or the second and least likely possibility is that she becomes a traitor for the way she's treated, because she obviously doesn't like how she's being treated by him. So out of retaliation, she could free a couple members of the boys, maybe Starlight and her can patch things up and she joins her, or she could even free Soldier Boy somehow. And since one of the reasons why she wanted Homelander to begin with was to have him under her thumb, she could try something romantic with Soldier Boy too. But again, it's just theories, you know. I still think she's just gonna be a devoted Homelanderist, just like the Deep and his similar need to be loved.
Tell me I'm the smartest superhero in the 7.
Boy, if you don't. And Black Noir too, who gets aroused from killing people.
Murder boner.
Homelander outsnoomed it because he was still pissed about his confrontation with Ryan, and he also forces Ashley to make a list in everyone in Vought that may have dirt on the members of the Seven, which could endanger their new soup world. And Ashley is of course on the top of this list. And let's talk about her first. She is a fighter. She hears this and immediately goes to Homelander's apartment to give herself Compound V to defend herself, which is very smart but could also be her downfall in the final season. And hear me out. Remember when she told A-Train that Vought turns people into monsters?
It's so easy to become a monster around here.
I think this is what we're gonna see in season 5 when it comes to her. You may think I'm reading too much into this, but Firecracker said one small little line about how the milky pills enlarge her heart a bit.
A long regimen of drugs a person can take to make it happen. It enlarges the heart just a tiny little bit.
And the next thing we know, she looks as sick as All Might. So that dialogue was said for a reason. Plus, a bunch of people took Compound B and Temp B already, and none of them had crazy skull movements like she does. Like, the closest thing we have is Butcher, and we already know what happened with him with that. So either A, she's gonna be some kind of Ninja Turtle villain-esque monster that works for Homelander, or she's uncontrollable. She'll look normal, but she will have superpowers and will still side with Homelander because she likes to have power with her being a dominatrix and all. Or C, she'll side with the boys. I think it's A, but let me know what y'all think. And now we can talk about Homelander and Ryan. For Ryan, this episode, he gets into a confrontation with Homelander, Mallory, and Butcher. It's believed that nothing happened between him and Homelander after his Christmas speech on TV. But once he walks in on Homelander destroying the apartment and gets tossed the picture of Becca and Butcher, we see that not only is he afraid that he found the picture, but is also angry at the way his dad talked to him. So he stormed out and went to Butcher. And bro, W. Butcher, he tries to do right by Becca and Ryan by arranging a safe living place for him with Mallory, and also making Ryan feel heard when he says it's cool for him to stay with his dad, which is most definitely the right way to handle him. I don't have any kids, nor do I want one right now. Like, imagine, I can't handle that. But it was the right way because now, even if he does want to live with Homelander right now, which is understandable since he's like a prince over there compared to his previous life in the woods alone, he'll eventually want to go against Homelander because he won't agree with the new soup agenda. His mom's teachings are that ingrained in him. I'm sure that's what Butcher was thinking. But then Mallory gets desperate and tells a teenager that the only family he has left, the family that he loves, murdered a bunch of people, tried to kill the president, and R-worded his freaking mom. And then she just expects Ryan to instantly want to kill him. That's crazy! At this point, Butcher saw Ryan as more of a person than Mallory did. And the worst part is that he even said he'll be back after he thinks about everything.
I'll be back, I just need to think.
But because they got so pushy, forcing him to stay against his will, and Mallory even threatened him in order for him to not leave, he did the typical teenage move and rebelled. But I still didn't think he was gonna kill Mallory. You know, I'm not gonna lie. And he didn't even care. That's the thing, he did it without any remorse. And this was the last we've seen of him. Mallory literally ruined everything, and because of that, Ryan felt a lot of empathy towards his father, which made things a whole lot worse. Like, I literally have no idea what's gonna happen with Ryan, but here's what I think. Number 1, Ryan will go back to his dad to see his side of things. I think that's something that's gonna happen no matter what. But if he doesn't like his response, he'll go back and find Butcher and will convince him to not kill all of the soups. Butcher will start getting out of this evil mindset and he'll get cancer again because I believe his powers work for him only when he's quote-unquote evil. He'll die and then Ryan defeats his dad to fulfill Butcher's dying wish. Or number 2, Ryan sides with his dad and Butcher becomes the savior by killing every soup in America, or just Ryan and Butcher. Number 3, Ryan will go on his own to train and will come back towards the end of the series to fight against Homelander. Or number 4, Ryan trains under his dad and eventually turns on him, frees the boys that are captured and sides with them. Then we cut to Homelander and his side of things. So first, his encounter with Ryan, and he was pissed whenever he found the photo, bro. And I believe it's because it felt like another betrayal to him. Like, why does my son have a picture of his mom and another man? I'm his father, he should have a picture of me. You know, he feels pissed that there's another father figure in his life that he cares for, and it's Butcher of all people. He's also mad that his legacy is in danger, which is the whole reason as to why he's doing all this. But the more his son isn't on his side, the more unhinged he becomes, which led him to destroy his apartment and outing Newman on live TV. It looked like he was starting to break down under all that pressure and started making mistakes, doing a bunch of rash things without thinking about it until Sage came in and reassured him that this was all according to plan. Only after doing that did he become more confident about himself and the position he was in. Because at first he was saying, yeah, we're gonna make a new world, we'll make the new rules. But in the end, he was still sitting on the floor, going through it. But when Sage is on his side, he is so much more confident and started taking control even if Ryan wasn't by his side at the moment. So with that being said, in season 5, especially with Sage on his side, I believe his God complex is only gonna get bigger with the more power he gains, since he's the freaking president. Like, it's gonna be a version of Homelander we've never seen before. But I also do think in the end he will die by either Ryan, somehow, or the boys. And next we have Butcher, and in the beginning of the episode, he was on the brink of death. And though he was reluctant to go, he accepted his fate and was willing to bet everything on Ryan until he killed Mallory. That's when he completely gave in to the madness that was brewing up throughout season 4. Killed Newman, which was crazy, I was so shocked. And went on his own to kill all the Supes, showing that these powers will only work for him if he becomes the person he's been since the beginning. That's why his powers manifested that way, because that's his real thoughts and desires. That's the real him. This is what all the trauma he's been through in his life turned him into, which is why it was so hard for him to be a better person, because at that point he was just going against his true nature. All throughout season 4 he tried to play things by the book, and the more he went against his true nature, the more his body worked against him. So in season 5 he's going to either kill all the Supes, including Ryan, or he'll get convinced the error of his ways and he'll get cancer again and die, with his death pushing Ryan enough to defeat Homelander. But literally that's only if Ryan turns out to be good. And finally, we have Sister Sage. Her plan worked. This was her plan all along. She had to make a few changes, but that's okay. Like, for one, I don't think she knew who was gonna kill Newman. She just knew that it was gonna happen, so she set up Singer to take the fall whenever that murder was made public. She also did not expect Homelander to fire her. Also, she thinks that Ryan was already with Homelander, which might allude to him maybe being on the good side? Maybe not, I don't know. Because it could also mean that she knows that he'll come back to him eventually. She then picks up her journal, which I'm sure will be very important in season 5, with it containing her full plan or observations she has with everybody involved. And while he was confused as to why she was doing all this, she just says,
"To see if I could."
with the same style of violins in the background as the season 3 finale, showing that these two really are cut from the same cloth. So what does this mean for Sister Sage? Here's what I believe. I'm sure her ultimate plan will end in the destruction of humanity. And I say this because she hates humans after they rejected her help and did nothing when her grandma was dying from leukemia, which eventually led to her death. Plus, it's not the destination she's really after, but it's more so the journey that she wants. She wants to see exactly what she can get away with. She's sadistic and almost has this childlike curiosity when it comes to it. So yeah, for sure she's gonna be like a major villain, one that even Homelander might be a bit afraid of, because he knows that the moment he gets rid of her, his job becomes 10 times harder, and he won't be able to control everything. Now with phase 1 out the way, phase 2 begins, with Homelander making a new Supe world. Then in phase 3, she'll let humanity destroy itself like the animals they are, pitting them all against each other, proving that humanity really is as dumb as she thought. And then we get Soldier Boy. I have no idea what's gonna happen with him, I really don't. But his involvement definitely means that there's gonna be a lot of family drama. I think somehow Homelander is gonna find a way to contain him while he can still hear and talk to others, just so he can tell Soldier Boy about his success in the hopes of finally feeling validated by him. But of course, Soldier Boy is not gonna let that fly, and Homelander will start to fly off the handle because of that, just like he did when he was pissed about Ryan. And he's eventually going to try and stop Homelander because he won't like what he's doing to the nation he helped build. He'll want it to go back to the way things were, not a dictatorship. And lastly, Frenchie and Kimiko will get freed and all of their scenes will be sweet, you know, like they'll be more affectionate towards each other. They also might die in the hands of butchers since that's what happened in the comics, but I don't know, because if that's the case, then all the boys would be dead. Like, he killed a lot of people, and I just don't think that's gonna happen. And yeah, this final season was wild. A lot happened and I was on the edge of my seat the entire time, man. Like, it's definitely what we needed after a mixed season like season 4. Because even though I still liked season 4, I can definitely tell where the critics were coming from. Other than what that critical drinker guy was saying, bro, his review was trash. But yeah, let me know what y'all think about the show, and after this, we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming, to Superman knockoffs, who's the strongest shapeshifter, best super speed, even Batman knockoffs. You know, I have a lot planned, so stay tuned. Till then, I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace out.